six Goswamis of Vrndavan. Sri Sad Goswami Prabhu King. First of all, as we usually do, we will read our dedication responsively. You can repeat each line after me. Nana Shastra Vicharanai Kanipano Sadharma Samstapako.
Nana Shastra Vicharanai Kanipano Sadharma Samstapako.
Lokanam hitakarino tribhuvane manyo sharanya karo.
Lokanam hitakarino tribhuvane manyo sharanya karo.
Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko.
Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko.
Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako.
Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako.
Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako.
Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyago Shri Jiva Gopalako.
And the translation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds, and they're worth taking shelter of because they're absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. Sri Sad Goswami Prabhu Ke. Devotees, first of all, a couple of prayers of our own. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vanchkalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So today, tonight, this afternoon, devotees, we will go on to discussing, first of all, about Srila Jiva Goswami. And then we'll just see how the time is. It's quite possible we can start discussing about one other of the 6 Goswamis, because there's not such a large amount of information about Jiva Goswami. Yes, so we've discussed already Rupa, Sanatan over 2 days. So that was 3 days altogether, although we didn't even finish Sanatan. And last night we discussed about Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. So here we go then, devotees, Srila Jiva Goswami. And in Krishna's Vrndavan Leela, he is Vilas Manjari. He is Vilas Manjari. And something we haven't really mentioned so far, but as different of the 6 Goswamis had their particular deities that they're very well known for worshipping, like, for example, Srila Rupa Goswami worshipped. Who did Rupa Goswami worship? Radha Govinda. And then we talked about Sanatana Goswami, and who did he worship? Who? Radha Madan Mohan. Yes. And then last night was Raghunath Das Goswami, and who did he worship? Who said that? Was it you? Yes, he worshipped a Govardhan Shila, given to him by Lord Chaitanya. We just briefly mentioned that last night. Lord Chaitanya worshipped this Govardhan Shila for some years, and he had a very simple program of worship. It was offer a few sweets, just offer a few sweets. Well, first of all, bathe. And it said that Lord Chaitanya would bathe his Govardhan Shila with his tears. And then he'd offer some sweets, and then he would offer 2 Tulsi Manjaris. Hare Krishna, look who arrived from the distant Irish Republic. Sati Kumar Prabhu and his very good wife, Mataji Suniti. Hare Krishna and welcome. Welcome. Oh, good, thank you. Yeah, great to see the devotees. Nice to see you. So, yes, Raghunath Das Goswami, who we discussed about last night, is known for worshipping Govardhan Shila. And they say, you've heard of them who say things. They say, you've heard that say, them, they say things. They say that Govardhan Shila is in the Radha Gokulananda temple in Vrndavan. Yes. Others say that Shila is elsewhere. Actually, Sanatana Goswami, along with worshipping Madan Mohan, it was more Madan Mohan on his own, actually, than Radha Madan Mohan, although later Radharani came. So Sanatana Goswami, he worshipped also Govardhan Shila. And they had that Govardhan Shila, they say, anyway, it's probably correct, I imagine, that Govardhan Shila is at the new Madan Mohan temple in Vrndavan, which is just right next to, literally right next to the old Madan Mohan, which is, up on the sort of raised ground. So just across the road, and a matter of a few meters away, is the new Madan Mohan. And the devotees there are descended from the original pujaris of Madan Mohan, who were disciples of Srila Sanatana Goswami. And if you ask them nicely and offer them a little Lakshmi, they may show you that Govardhan Shila of Sanatana Goswami. And he's a tiny little Govardhan Shila, like that size or something, approximately. Yeah. And very light, quite light coloured. There's a picture of him in our Govardhan book. Yes, okay, and then so now we're talking about Jiva Goswami. And who did he worship? Radha Damodar. Right, and then there's Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, not to be mistaken for Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta. And he worshipped well. He was a disciple of Rupa Goswami. And he actually was the one responsible for, under Rupa Goswami's supervision and direction, for the construction of the big Radha Govinda temple. And he was also like Pujari for Radha Govinda. Yeah. Though, Rupa Goswami is certainly better known as such, but Raghunath Bhatta would definitely help. And then there's number 6 is Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And who did he worship? Radha Raman, yes. Radha Raman. Right, okay, so Srila Jiva Goswami, as we mentioned right in the beginning, he was the son of Anupam, or Vallabha, that initiated name Anupam, who was the youngest brother. Rupa, first of all, Sanatan was the oldest, then Rupa was the next, and then Anupam was the youngest, Anupam or Vallabha. Yes, and Anupam was the father of Jiva Goswami. Yes, right, so Jiva then was brought up with Rupa and Sanatan, like the family. And he moved to Ramakeli when they moved to Ramakeli. And he saw Lord Chaitanya there in Ramakeli. And very interesting, Srila Jiva Goswami as a child, just a child, like definitely preschool, just a small child, maybe 3-4 years old, something like that. He showed very vividly his Krishna consciousness. He made himself, he made by his own hands little deities of Krishna and Balaram, sort of little figures of Krishna and Balaram. And even as little child, he would worship them. This he had in common with, like Uddhava. It's described in the Bhagavatam how Uddhava would do like that. He had little deities, and he just could not be distracted from them. So Jiva Goswami was like that also, and some of the other very great devotees. Srila Jiva Goswami, he personally made these little deities or figures of Radha and Krishna. And then he also made little figures of little cowherd boys and little gopis and little cows and little, little creatures of different types, calves, maybe some little elephants. He made them all himself, because you couldn't just go down the road to the shop to buy, to the toy shop, to buy some little toy type figurines of animals. He made them himself. And the whole day he would perform pastimes with these little figures. He would move them around in different ways so that they performed pastimes. He'd have little pastimes of Radha and Krishna meeting, and Radha and Krishna trying to meet, but Jatila getting in the way, and things like that happening. All the drama of the Vrndavan pastimes, and Krishna going out in the morning with the cowherd boys and the cows or the calves. So he did all these things. And he would offer Radha and Krishna all different types of sweets. He would dress them, he would worship them with flowers and sandal paste. Actually, not Radha and Krishna, Krishna and Balaram. Excuse me, yeah. Little deities of Krishna and Balaram. Not Radha and Krishna, but Radharani was there with the other gopis, There was a whole team of gopis that he made, and there would be pastimes with them. And he'd say, worship the deities Krishna and Balaram with flowers, sandalwood paste. He would dress them with nice clothes and ornaments. And Bhakti Ratnakara says, when he would bow down on the ground before them, little Jiva would weep. He would cry. He would be in such ecstasy. So yes, he offered them various types of mainly sweetmeats. And then he would, the only time he would mix with his sort of like peers, as the children his age, would be when he'd go out to distribute prasadam, having offered these sweets to Krishna and Balaram. Otherwise, the children, particularly young boys. Anyway, not all young boys are equal, that's a fact. So they would come and try and get him to come out and play. Come on, we're going to play hide and seek, or whatever it may be, some sort of typical little boys' game. But Jiva would always say, no, I'm busy. I have to worship my deities. So that after he had done everything, he bathed them and dressed them, decorated them, etc., offered them food, then he'd go out and meet with his young, cousins and other young boys his age and distribute prasadam to them. Yes. And then he'd go into the pastime program, moving them around as if they're really performing the pastimes. Of course they were, because he is just a resident of Vrndavan completely. So he loved those deities so much that he would just play all day. Just all day. Even when his mother would come and tell him, time for prasadam, no interest, no reaction. He wouldn't come. She somehow had to drag him away to take some prasadam. At bedtime, when he went to bed at night, he would take the deities with him and he would hold them to his chest as he slept. And his parents just couldn't separate him from those deities, although they thought, he is just a little boy playing around. But no, he was a small boy, but it was very deep, extremely deep. And everyone who saw how he revered and served and worshipped and just loved those deities, everyone was very happy and deeply affected seeing that. So one time Bhakti Ratnakara describes that Krishna and Balaram appeared in his dream as he was sleeping. and Jiva saw them. Balaram's dressed in blue. Krishna in his dark yellow pitambar dhoti. Balaram in blue or white. And they just looked so beautiful, just like Cupid, able to enchant the entire universe. But then suddenly, Krishna and Balaram transformed into Gaunitai. Yes. And the center of their bodies, this is within the dream. The center of their bodies was just overpowering. So Jiva in his dream was just crying and threw himself at the lotus feet of Gaunitai. Yes, they put their lotus feet on his head and then they embraced him very affectionately, and then they spoke to him. Their words were like nectar falling on the ears, into the ears of Sri Jiva. So, Lord Chaitanya, in this dream, Lord Chaitanya said to Jiva, I offer you at the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda. But Nityananda repeatedly said, let my Gaura Prabhu be your master. Let my Gaura Prabhu be your life and soul. So then in the dream, Jiva bowed down. But then when he looked up, they disappeared, vanished. Yes. So he was just small then. When he was around 10 years old, Srila Prabhupada says, Rupa and Sanatan, well, they had gone, by the time he was 10 or 12, they had already gone to Vrndavan, sent there, as we've discussed already at some length. So Jiva wanted to go there and join them. So therefore, at the age of, Prabhupada says, 10 or 12, he left home and went to Navadvip. Of course, his father, Anupam, was not there because he had also left home with Rupa and Sanatan. He didn't actually, Anupam didn't get arrested like Rupa and Sanatan did, particularly Sanatan. But when they went, after they escaped, he went with them. So, yes, right, so at the age of 10 or 12, Prabhupada says he went to Navadvip, first of all. And in Navadvip, he went to the house of Srivas Thakur, Srivas Angan, if you know the area there, just, the sort of Mayapur area, near our ISKCON campus. So he went to Srivas Thakur, and who should he find in the house of Srivas Thakur but Lord Nityananda was there. So Lord Nityananda took Jiva Goswami, Sri Panchatattva Ke. And devotees, you know what has happened this evening? Prasadam has been cooked. Well, it's just about to be offered by the cook. Deva Prabhu, you are in for a special treat. Krishna. Yeah, so he's offering it now with great bhakti and heartfelt devotion. Anyway, so Jiva met Lord Nityananda there at Srivas Angan. If you know the area, you would know that temple. It's not big, but it's very nice. And then Lord Nityananda took Jiva Goswami on a complete Navadvip Mandal Parikrama. And the record of that is there. It's recorded by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Yes. Yeah, a whole detailed record day by day where they went. I won't go through the details of it, but the book is available. Navadvip Mandal Parikrama, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. All the places they went around Navadvip Mandala, and all the pastimes that happened there. It's really nice. And our ISKCON devotees actually, every year, they, just before Gaurpadima, just sort of immediately before, they take devotees, like hundreds and thousands of devotees on Navadvip Mandal Parikrama, following the same route that Lord Nityananda took Jiva Goswami on, and visiting basically all the same places. It's really nice. It is just amazing. So anyway, Lord Nityananda took him around, and then when they finished and they came back to Srivas Thakur's place, then Lord Nityananda told him, go to Vrndavan. And he told him, Lord Nityananda told Jiva, Lord Chaitanya has given Vrndavan to your family. Means Rupa and Sanatan particularly. They are the great acharyas of Sri Vrndavan Dham, at least in that sort of that period, the time of Lord Chaitanya. So on the way, Lord Nityananda told him, okay, now you go to Vrindavan, but Lord Nityananda told him, on the way stop in Varanasi and study under Madhusudan Vachaspati, great devotee and great Sanskrit scholar, Shastric scholar, who was a disciple of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So Jiva, on the way, he stopped there in Varanasi and was instructed in depth for maybe a year or maybe a couple of years in Vaishnava theology and Sanskrit in great detail. Yes, right. So when Jiva Goswami arrived actually in Vrindavan, then he met Rupa, Sanatan, Gopal Bhatta, Raghunath Das, Raghunath Bhatta, all the other five of the six Goswamis. He also met Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Lokanath Goswami, Bhugada Goswami, Kashishvara. So they all welcomed him, greeted him to Vrindavan. So Srila Rupa Goswami sort of adopted him, you could say, Jiva, and initiated Jiva. Rupa Goswami initiated Jiva, and he wanted to really train him properly because he knew that this boy has fantastic potential, and he understood that he's a generation younger than us, so in the future when we depart, he will become the leader of the Sampradaya. So he's got to be ready and qualified to take up the leadership of the Sampradaya. So Rupa Goswami did a whole big training program with Srila Jiva Goswami, training him in all different things, but particularly menial service. You know, if you want to become a big, important devotee, big, important, devotee to all the devotees, respect, etc. You must become a very humble, menial servant. Otherwise you'll never make it. No chance. So Rupa Goswami felt like that about Jiva, that he needs to become a menial servant in order to become qualified to become the leader of the Sampradaya. So therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami would sometimes have Jiva prepare the deity paraphernalia for Radha Govinda. And of course, we don't have such a major deity program here, although, Panchatattva, really beautiful. But like in other of our temples, like in Soho Street, yes, where Vansivat Prabhu is head pujari. There, they have devotees, usually younger devotees, I think, doing what we call the backup. Is it?
They call it bathing trays.
Or they call it bathing trays. We call it backup in South Africa. Anyway, you get the idea. Washing the paraphernalia after the arati. The lamp and just the everything, washing everything, cleaning everything, and shining the brassware, all that sort of thing. So all that kind of menial service, Rupa Goswami had Jiva do. Sometimes he would make garlands for Govindaji, and sometimes he would just clean the floor. He just cleaned the floor and just, do like that. Sometimes devotees, he would make pencils for Rupa Goswami, because Rupa was writing, really doing a lot of writing, and some worship of Radha Govinda, although Raghunath Bhatta was doing a lot of the worship. So Rupa particularly was doing a lot of writing, and in those days you couldn't just go to the nearest, what do you call it here, W.H. Smith's or something along those lines, and just buy a pen or a pencil or a few and, a sharpening device for a pencil. You couldn't do that. He had to make those pencils for Rupa Goswami for his writing, because in those days, devotees, the Goswamis didn't have computers or typewriters or even pens, no Bics, no biros, nothing like that. Yeah, so what they did, they would write by carving the letters into like tree bark, palm leaves, like that. So those leaves or that bark would have to be specially prepared so that the writing would be permanent and not just, disappear. And it's very interesting, in the, what do they call it, I forget, just down the road, the Vrndavan something research institute, what's that called? Something like that, Vrndavan Research Institute. They have what they claim, and I mean, let's give them the benefit of any doubt that might be there. They have original manuscripts of Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, not carved, but written with some sort of ink, which they would make by, I don't know, maybe they would use rocks. Certain rocks, if you wet them and rub them on something, some color comes. Yeah. So they would make ink, Jiva would make ink like that sometimes. So there in that Vrndavan Research Institute, you can see some of these, these things, they're, it seems, 500 years old. But the ink hasn't faded, and you can read the handwriting of Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. So Jiva Goswami was helping with that. This was one of his special services, preparing the palm leaves, preparing the pencils. Sometimes he would massage Rupa Goswami's lotus feet. So because of this menial service that he did, Srila Rupa Goswami was very pleased and initiated him as Jiva Goswami. So there are some pastimes. There's a whole lot of it. Not a whole lot, but there are some pastimes. Famous pastime, which I'm sure many of you have heard versions of. It's the pastime of the puffed up scholar His name was Rupa Chandra initially. Rupa Chandra. He was meant to be, one of these big shastris, big scholar. And he would go around having debates with other scholars and defeat them or try to defeat them, and usually he would actually defeat them in debate. That was sort of like a spectator sport in those days. You may not believe this, but in those days, Manchester United did not exist. Or Newcastle, what do they call? Newcastle United. It's nearby, yeah. Didn't exist. No. And there was no Bollywood. Can you believe, those of you from Indian background, can you believe it? There was no Bollywood at all. No Shah Rukh Khan or Aishwarya and Abhishek. Not even, what's his name, Bachchan? What's his name?
Amitabh Bachchan.
Amitabh. None of these people. So what did people do? You might think, what did they do? Did they just sleep? What did they do? What was there to do? Jai Shri Panchatattva Ki Jai. Well, they would go to debates. That's what they would do. Sometimes they were dramatic performances, but there were a lot of debates. And the different debaters, the famous debaters, would have supporters who would come and, cheer them and all that. So this fellow Rupa Chandra, he was one of those types of people. And he had heard, he was going around debating with scholars here and there. And he heard that there are these two big scholars in Navadvip area, Rupa and Sanatana. So he thought, oh yes, I must go there and debate with them and defeat them. So sure enough, he rolled up there in Vrndavan one day. And first he met Sanatana, because Sanatana was the oldest, the senior in terms of age of the Goswamis, of all the Goswamis. So this Rupa Chandra came and just like in a very sort of brazen way, just like very showy way and very dramatic way, he said, I hear you're a Shastric scholar. I want to debate with you and defeat you. And when I've defeated you, I already have a sort of like a document ready saying that I've defeated you. All you have to do is sign it, and that's it. So Srila Rupa Goswami just took one look at this gentleman and immediately understood, this fellow is just completely, what would you say, off the wall, out to lunch. Hopeless case. So Sanatana Goswami said that just by looking at you, I can see that there's no point in trying to debate with you because you're obviously so great. Actually, I was thinking there's no point in debating with you because you're such a crazy fellow. But I can see you're so great. There's no point in me trying to debate with you. So just give me the document, I'll sign it. that, I was defeated by Rupa Chandra, signed Sanatan Goswami. Then he took the document to Srila Rupa Goswami, and it's the same thing. I want to debate with you and defeat you, and you must sign my, what do they call it? It's like a Vijay Patra, something along those lines. Yeah, declaration of victory. And he showed him, he said, see, Sanatan, your senior, your older brother, he's already signed, I already defeated him, which wasn't entirely true, but anyway, Sanatan had signed. So Rupa Goswami, he also took a look at this man and thought, who on earth is this? What sort of weird man? And he said, look, I can tell. If you already defeated Sanatan Goswami, you can easily defeat me. So let's not just waste time with a debate. Give me the document, I'll sign. And he signed. Rupa Goswami. Then he heard, this Rupa Chandra heard about Jiva Goswami. So he went and found him and showed him the document. Look, see? Your two uncles, famous scholars, they've been defeated by me. See, they've signed. So, do you want to sign up too? But Jiva Goswami just felt, we cannot have this. I have to make up for this, for my uncles. So Jiva said, actually, no, I will debate you. So they debated, they say, for 7 days. And in the end, Jiva Goswami defeated him so extremely heavily at the end. The man was sitting there, they're sitting down. The man, excuse me saying this, but passed stool and urine where he was sitting out of shock, being so heavily defeated by Jiva Goswami. And then he offered obeisances to Jiva, and he went and apologized to Rupa and Sanatan. Like very humbly apologized. And one of them initiated him, and his name became Rupa Narayan Das. Yeah. And he became one of their followers. So, Jiva Goswami, like we mentioned, he's in the role of very humble servant of Rupa particularly, and Sanatan to some degree, but particularly Rupa. One thing he would do, just like if you remember last night we were talking about Raghunath Das Goswami, he would just sit in the middle of summer, just sit outside under the sun and chant japa. And it's 45 degrees sometimes, 50 degrees sometimes. He would be oblivious. He would just sit there and chant. So, Rupa Goswami would write outside. And what Jiva would do as a disciple, he would stand in such a way that he would be blocking the sun. So the sunshine would not fall on Rupa Goswami and burn him or just, make him very hot like that, make him uncomfortable. Jiva would stand there in such a way that his shadow would be over Rupa Goswami as he wrote. There's a famous pastime which involves, Jiva Goswami is like the focal point, but Rupa Goswami is there, and Sanatan Goswami also plays a very important part, extremely important part in this pastime. Rupa Goswami and Jiva at that time were up the Yamuna some kilometers, up in the direction, you could say, of Delhi. Yeah, back up. Still within Vraj Mandala, but like in the northern area by the Yamuna, there's a place called Nandagat. Nandagat. Maybe some of you have been there. There's a temple there with big deities of Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda. So they were staying there, and Srila Rupa Goswami was writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Now, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, of course, is a big book. So sometimes he would be writing it in Vrndavan. Sometimes he'd go to Tirthavanda, he would continue writing there. And sometimes he'd go to Nandagat, and he would write there. So there he was, writing. And who should arrive on the scene but one big Brahmin scholar whose name was Vallabha. Vallabha. There are many Vallabhas, but anyway, his name was Vallabha. And he's a big scholar, Brahmin, and kind of proud of his scholarship. So he came to visit Srila Rupa Goswami, knowing that he's also a scholar. And Vallabha asked Rupa, can you show me what you're writing? I'd like to see it, and maybe I could make a few comments, a few suggestions, how you might possibly be able to improve it. And Rupa said, oh yeah, that would be wonderful, thank you so much. So he showed him the part of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu he was working on. And Vallabha's looking at it and looking and reading here and there. And he started making a few suggestions. Here you've said this and this, but I think it would be better to say that and that, something else. And Rupa Goswami said, oh, really? Oh, thank you so much. And then another place, you said this and something else, but I think it would be better to say something else. And Rupa Goswami would be very appreciative. And Jiva's sitting there listening. And Jiva knows, of course, that whatever Rupa Goswami says or writes is perfect. And there's no question of improving anything that Rupa Goswami has written at all. And he's hearing the suggestions and understanding what's wrong with the suggestions. Even though Rupa, being very humble, saying, oh, thank you for the suggestion, I'll change it. But Jiva's thinking, no, you shouldn't change that, to whatever he suggested. The original is much better. So after a little while, Srila Rupa Goswami said to Vallabha, will you please stay with us and take lunch with us? And Vallabha said, well, that's very nice, thank you, yes, I'll do that. And Rupa Goswami said, my disciple, my assistant Jiva, he will take you down to the Yamuna, and you can bathe there and come back, and by the time you're back, prasadam will be ready. Because this Nanda Ghat, it's a ghat. It's kind of on the banks of the Yamuna. A little distance away now, but anyway. The Yamuna is not far away at all. So they went down. On the way, Jiva Goswami started a conversation. You said that where Rupa Goswami said this, you said you felt that something else would be better. And Vallabha said, yes, you're right. But then Jiva Goswami, smashed his suggestion to pieces. But what you've suggested is nowhere near as good as what Rupa had initially written. And for each suggestion, there was like a series of suggestions. Jiva Goswami pulled them to pieces, and heavily. Not like, well, I don't know, but maybe it would have been better as it was originally. But he just told him, listen, this is nonsense. So Vallabha, who's older, he's like a generation older, and he's famous big scholar, and he feels he's a famous big scholar. He was really, his bubble of pride just got completely burst. And he became angry, actually. This boy is correcting me. Who does he think he is? So they went back. And Rupa Goswami said, right, yes, please sit down. We'll serve you prasadam. And Vallabha said, no. I don't want to take prasadam. I am going because your disciple here, he's just so heavy. He said this and that and he criticized what I said. I'm going. So Rupa Goswami became angry with Jiva that this nice scholar, he offered to help me by editing what I'm writing and correcting it. But now you've just disturbed this man so much. And Rupa Goswami told Jiva, you are proud, you are arrogant, you shouldn't stay here in Vrndavan. Vrndavan is just too pure for you. Just get out. Just go. Go back to Bengal. Go back to Navadvip and learn some manners. And then maybe you can come back later sometime. So actually Jiva knew that whatever he had said was correct in his correcting of Vallabha. He knew it was correct and he was just defending his spiritual master. And he understood, I haven't done anything wrong, but my spiritual master has ordered me, so I have to go. So off he went, but he was distraught. He was just extremely disturbed by this whole incident. So he went for some distance down the Yamuna, which eventually meets the Ganges and then goes down through Bengal. He started going down, not far, not even as far as Vrndavan town, but just a little way. And he felt, I can't take this, it's too much. I'm just going to find a place and I'll just sit down and chant and fast to death. So he found one crocodile hole on the banks of the Yamuna. And he went in and just sat down and started chanting. And the local people, because all around Vrajmandal there are villages, every kilometre or so, whatever, there's a village. So there was a village nearby. And the village people, they would come down to the Yamuna regularly. They came down and they saw, oh, what's this young devotee here, young sannyasi doing? Oh, we must serve him. So they offered him some milk and different things. But Jiva refused and he explained, I'm fasting to death. And whatever they tried to do, to get him to eat or drink, he just would not do it. So they're in real anxiety. So then, you know what happened? Sanatan Goswami came around. As usual, he was on parikrama, Vrajmandal parikrama. So he came by, and the village people, he knew the village people personally. The village people said, you know, down by the Yamuna in the one crocodile hole, there's a young sannyasi, and he's just extremely distressed. You got to try and help him. He's fasting to death. So Sanatan went down there and saw, sure enough, he saw, there's Jiva. And Jiva explained the whole situation to him. And Sanatan thought, I've got to sort this out. I've got to try and help. Because, you know, the thing as we mentioned about Sanatan, he had been the Prime Minister because he was expert at dealing with people and sorting out disputes and all that sort of thing. So Sanatan said, okay, you know, Rupa has done this with you, let me go and speak to Rupa. So he just went out, not far, a few kilometers, back to Nandagat. There was Rupa, and Sanatan Goswami approached him. And in a very intelligent but very humble way, which means very intelligent way, he started a discussion with Rupa. And he said, you know, you remember Lord Chaitanya told us that Nama Kirtan, we had to chant the holy names. And Rupa Goswami said, yes, right. Oh yes, we must chant the holy names. Wonderful. And Sanatan said, and you remember, Lord Chaitanya told us, Bhagavat Shravan. We must recite Srimad Bhagavatam, study Srimad Bhagavatam. And Rupa said, yes, of course, I remember that. Wonderful, wonderful. And Sanatan Goswami said, and you remember also, Lord Chaitanya told us, Jiva Daya. We must be merciful to the Jivas. And Rupa Goswami said, yes, right, Jiva Daya. We must be merciful to the Jivas. Wonderful. And Sanatan said, yes. And I happen to know one Jiva. And he needs your mercy. And Rupa understood, oh, I see. All right. So like this, Sanatan Goswami reunited Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami. Last thing, I think, anyway, then I'll say just a couple more things. Jiva Goswami is a very interesting person in that he was he wrote the first will in India. It's a historical document. The first will and testament. Prior to that, there were no wills. Just, you know, from father to son, things were handed down. But he wrote a will, and he arranged with the Emperor Akbar. Akbar, of course, was a Muslim, but he was not one of these heavy Muslims. He was like an intellectual, and he was supportive of the devotees and Vaishnava culture. So, Srila Jiva Goswami arranged to buy Radhakund and Shamakund. And he got like a deed of transfer in his name that Radhakund and Shamakund, they belong to Jiva Goswami. And it was witnessed, it's interesting, there's a book in that Vrndavan Research Institute, there's a book, which I have a copy of, which has a photocopy of the document. And it is witnessed, there's signatures. There's the signature of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He signed as a witness. And other great devotees, they signed as witnesses that Jiva Goswami, that this area around Radhakund Shalakund has been transferred to the ownership of Jiva Goswami. Then also the area of Vrndavan town, he became the owner, like the legal owner, with an actual document of ownership. Yeah. So it's a very interesting thing which Jiva did. And, well, let's see. He arranged, maybe I'll talk more about it on, what is it, Sunday. Yeah. How Srinivas, not Shrivas, but Srinivas Acharya came to Vrndavan and met Jiva Goswami and then became a student of Jiva Goswami, and then Narottam and Shyamananda, they also came. And Jiva Goswami started a school of philosophy with these three as the students. And after some time, Jiva Goswami told them that, okay, you've studied enough after some years. So now, because he's now the head of the Sampradaya, because Rupert Sanatan and Krishnadas Kaviraj, they've all passed away, but he had all their books. So he told Srinivas, Narottam and Shyamananda, now you must take these books down to Bengal and give them to people who are like, you could say, transcribers. By hand, they'll write out a book. If you want a copy of Bhagavad Gita, you go to the transcriber and he writes it out. You come back, I don't know, a week later or something, and you get your Bhagavad Gita. So Jiva Goswami wanted these literatures of the other Goswamis to be distributed to the devotees in Bengal and northern Orissa. So they went and took all those literatures. It's a long story. Actually, all the books got stolen at one point, but Srinivas Acharya got them all back from one king who had them stolen. And in this way, the Sankirtan movement, in the form of book distribution, it went down there to Bengal and that sort of area. So he is like the original book distribution expert. And last thing I'll say is that Jiva wrote many books, about 25 books. Rupa Goswami wrote 16. Sanatan wrote something less. But Jiva Goswami wrote 25 books. And amongst them, arguably the most important, anyway, it's just they're all very important, is a book called Gopal Champu. It's like an elaboration on Krishna's Vrndavan pastimes. And it's really amazing, truly amazing. And it's available in English. Of course, it's available in Bengali, if you read Bengali too. So that English, it's available. And otherwise, he's very famous for his 6 Sandhavas, philosophical treatises, 6 Sandarbhas, the Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavat Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha, Bhakti Sandarbha, and Priti Sandarbha, all about different aspects of Krishna consciousness, explaining basically the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya and the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Srila Jiva Goswami Ki. Sri Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Vrndavan. So what we'll do, devotees, thank you for listening very patiently, we will have some kirtan for, 15 minutes, maybe up till 8 o'clock or something. And then we will have prasad, the special prasad cooked by Deva Prabhu. And, anyway, you'll see something else too. So, and now, because Sachikumar Prabhu is here, we will request Sachikumar Prabhu to lead kirtan. So everyone can stand up, please.